Hello there! Have you ever wondered what happens after you die? Kim thought he would be delivered from his problems. Instead, the hero had to pass hard trials to gain the right to be reborn on Earth. Kim Ja-hong works as a firefighter. He is rescuing a little girl from a deadly fire in a skyscraper. The way down the stairs is blocked by burning beams, and the only way out is to jump out the window on a safety rope. The fireman is hanging on the rope high above the ground and tries to pass the child to his partner. But a small spark of fire destroys their chance for salvation. Kim, together with the girl in his arms, flies down and crashes into the pavement. Life flashes before his eyes, and when he opens them, he realizes that he's still alive. The firefighter goes to the rescued girl to find out her name. But instead of answering, he hears someone persistently calling his name. When he turns around, he sees a man and a girl in black standing fearlessly under the debris falling from above. The strangers walk towards him. The girl, smiling radiantly, informs him that Ja-hong died on April 28, 2017, right on schedule. The strangers call him a paragon, and themselves the guardians of the afterlife, Haewon Mak and Dak-chun. It's hard not to believe them, as Ja-hong watches his partners try to pump out his dead body while they are talking. The fireman realizes what has happened and backs away in fright. He doesn't want to be taken away from the world of the living and leave his mother alone, but the hero is already being pulled into the portal that opened behind him. The three guardians lead Kim to the gates of the afterlife. Haewon Mak and Dak-chun are joined by their leader, Gang-rim. The crowd, stretching for many miles, steps aside and lets the hero through, calling him by a mysterious word, Paragon. The burning, fiery inscription above the gate confirms the status of his noble soul. Ja-hong has a privilege. He can be reborn on Earth very quickly, in just 49 days. Together with the three guardians, he passes through the gate and enters hell. There, his soul awaits 7 trials of judgment for betrayal, violence, disrespect, murder, indolence, deceit, and impiety. At the first trial, Ja-hong is trialed for murder. He faces the judge and the prosecutors, and all hell breaks loose beneath his feet with the screams of the guilty. He is about to be among them. Kim once left his partner in a fire, and he died. To the prosecutors, this is direct evidence of guilt, but Gang-rim reveals to the judge the truth about why the firefighter really did it. His partner was trapped beneath the rubble, and there were still other people alive in the building who could have been saved. Ja-hong had intended to go back for his comrade, but didn't make it in time. He had barely pulled the 8 men out of the fire when there was an explosion. The mirror of karma shows this to be true. The god of murder gives the defendant an acquittal verdict. The paragon and his defenders cross the river of indolence to the next trial. Dak-chun reviews the defender's sins of indolence in advance and finds that there is nothing to accuse him of. His life has been hard, and remembering it, the paragon doesn't want to be reborn at all, and he can't understand why the guardians want it more than he does. It turns out that this is the promise of Yomra, the king of the afterlife. If the guards help 49 souls to reincarnate in a century, they will get the opportunity to be reborn themselves. Kim Ja-hong is the 48th in their count. At the trial of the goddess of indolence, the truth of the paragon's hard life is revealed. At times, of course, he behaved erratically, but it helped him endure the daily hardships. Ja-hong worked as a fireman, delivered vegetables, scrubbed floors in a sauna, worked as a waiter and a cab driver to earn money to cure his mother and pay for his younger brother's legal education. The first time he breathed freely was only after his death. Once again, the mirror of karma shows this to be true. The goddess of indolence gives the defendant an acquittal verdict. Through the forest of blades, the paragon and his defenders go to the judgment for deceit. Here, Kim will have to answer for all the lies he has told in his life. Dak-chun warns Kim not to touch anything in the forest. If done out of curiosity, the razor-sharp blades will cut him into pieces. But if one follows the rules, their soul will gain the right to appear in the dream of a loved one and say their last goodbye. The hero wants to bid farewell to his mother, so he is willing to obey the instructions. The travelers cover part of the road in a boat moving on a water tunnel. Here comes the first trouble. Time flies faster in the afterlife, and the guards may not have time to lead the paragon through 7 trials in only 49 days. In addition, the boat is attacked by ghouls. These are infernal monsters who want to kill them. This is caused by a vengeful spirit from the world of the living. Someone related to Ja-hong has died with a grudge and stayed on Earth to take revenge, and Kim worries that it was his mother. In order to restore the flow of time in the afterlife, Gang-rim goes to Earth to find the vengeful spirit. In the world of the living, he visits Kim's house and discovers that his younger brother Su Hong has died.
김수홍, 네가 죽은 곳이 어디냐?
To destroy the vengeful spirit, its body must be found and burned. Knowing this, Su Hong disobeys and flees from his pursuers. Gang Rim has no choice but to find out where the tomb is by himself. He goes to the military unit where Su Hong had served, and where the rumors that the guy had deserted are spreading around. In the hell of deceit, meanwhile, the trial begins. Jahong is accused of writing a letter to the daughter of a dead firefighter on his behalf and promising that he would return. What complicates the case is that Jahong did not write just one letter, but 98. When the prosecutor voices this, even the guardian Haewon Mat loses faith in his acquittal and turns to their leader for help. Gang Rim reaches out to the court through Dak Chun and declares that Jahong is undoubtedly a liar. Not only did he lie to the poor girl, but for 15 years he tricked his own mother by writing her letters about her son's life, his wife, and their son, who in fact did not exist. But these letters helped the mother to cope with a serious illness and calm her heart. As for the girl, no doubt because of the expectations and hope given by the letters, the feeling of the loss of a loved one increased. Because of this, however, she grew up to be a very strong person in the world of the living. The Mirror of Karma shows that this is absolutely true. The goddess of deceit pronounces an acquittal verdict for the defendant. Paragon and his guardians go to the next meeting. The defendant asks him why he's so eager to see his mother. Jahong tells them that he did not have time to give her the gift of an electric rice cooker. As a child, his mother used to cook rice for him and his brother in an old tin pot, but now she is old and has burned through many pots. Jahong isn't telling the whole story, but the guardians already know that there is a letter hidden in the rice cooker for his mother that only contains the truth about his life. Gang Rim contacts them. He tells Kim that his mother and brother are alive, revealing the truth only to his colleagues. Su Hong is dead and has turned into a vengeful spirit, which Gang Rim plans to find and destroy. Investigation leads Gang Rim to the night Su Hong was on guard with Private Dong Yan. The Guardian travels back in time to see what happened. Su Hong and Dong Yan are standing guard. The guy sympathizes with his friend, but doesn't know what to say to the person who just lost his brother. So he stands back and nervously jerks the safety lock of his machine gun. Su Hong reassures him that everything is alright and comes over to hug him. And when he pulls away, the loaded gun rests against his stomach. Confused, Dong Yan wants to put the gun away, but accidentally pulls the trigger instead. The Paragon and his guardians are walking through an ice valley. This road leads to the trial for injustice, a procedure for those who have committed unrighteous acts of which the noble Paragon soul is incapable. So Jahong will not be tried there. The travelers are talking quietly as the gorge behind them begins to collapse. They jump into a cable car just in time before the ice avalanche comes crashing down from the edge of the abyss. The lieutenant appears at the place of the accident. He fails to resuscitate Su Hong. So he picks up the shell casing from the floor, puts it in his pocket, and orders Dong Yan to wash the blood off. The next month, the officer is going to get a promotion, so he decides to bury the body and cover up the traces of the crime. Only he doesn't notice that Su Hong is still alive. The lieutenant and Dong Yan drag the body into the woods and dig out a grave. The boy doesn't want to commit the crime and drops the shovel, but the lieutenant forces him to finish the job. Paragon and the Guardians are riding the cable car. Jahong recalls that his brother dreamed of doing the same as a child. Dak Chun says she envies him. The Guardians have no memory of their past lives and don't know how they died. Haewon Mak is angry that the girl is so outspoken. In response, he tells Jahong that his brother will never ride, even on that rope road to hell, because he is the vengeful spirit that makes the afterlife shake. But Gang Rim will stop it. He'll find and destroy him. At that moment, the cable car cabin falls off the rope and overturns. The Guardians hang over the abyss in danger, and Kim rescues them with a rope from his firefighter's equipment. Now, his attitude is different. Since his brother is dead and his mother is alone, he must finish the trials to be reborn. The lieutenant discharges his private accomplice and gives him money. Meanwhile, the vengeful spirit Su Hong circles the military unit, and Gang Rim follows his trail. Paragon and the Guardians are crossing across the Heavenly Bridge. This road leads to the Hell of Betrayal. There, the souls of those who have betrayed the trust of others are judged. But because Jahong was a righteous man in his lifetime, he passes through these lands freely. Gang Rim finds the vengeful spirit in a nightclub as it is trying to drop a disco ball on its murderer. Su Hong escapes through space, time, and portals, but the experienced Gang Rim catches it in a trap. The Guardian urges Su Hong to forget about the useless anger and the revenge that is destroying both the world of the living and the dead. Then Gang Rim will offer him protection, and Su Hong can be reborn. Gang Rim urges him to remember his dead older brother, who is in danger because of him. These words have no effect. Su Hong does not care about his brother, who has not been home for 15 years, while he himself was buried alive, suffocating and dying in the grave, calling for help, but no one came. His trust in this world was buried and killed with him that day, and his revenge cannot be stopped. The rage stirring up within him sweeps through the city, plunging the metropolis into darkness. After getting drunk on leave, Dong Yan decides he won't hide the crime. First, he goes to the lieutenant and tells him that he will reveal the truth. And then he goes to Su Hong's mother's house and drops off a map with a marker at the spot where her son's grave is located. The Paragon and the Guardians approach the Void Pit. This is the God of Violence's possession. The punishment here depends directly on the severity of the crime. Hai Wang Mak pushes Zhahong and he flies into the abyss. It's the only way to get to the trial. Private Wan Dong Yan is desperate and about to hang himself. He puts a noose around his neck and pushes himself off the railing. But Gang Rim sees this in time. Following Dong Yang justifies the man's hope. Su Hong shows up too. He asks the Guardian to save the boy. Then he will stop taking revenge and will go to the afterlife. The Guardian is forbidden to interfere in the events of the world of the living, but he is kind and saves Dong Yan from death by breaking the rules. Because of this interference, the balance in the afterlife is disrupted again, just as the Paragon and the Guardians are flying between the blocks of rock that now hover in the air, threatening to crush them at any time. The shaking stops, and Hai Wang Mak is about to pass by the court when Doc Chun tells him that there has been a victim in this trial. Kim is accused of brutally beating his younger brother. He stands before the court, and the stone figures remind him of the past. At the time, his brother was suffering from malnutrition, and the prosecutors consider the crime particularly heinous. The hero recalls that day. He beat his brother while his sick mother was sleeping in the same room on the floor. After that night, they never spoke again, because in the morning, Zhahong ran away. Since the perpetrator was not forgiven by the victim, the judge declares him guilty and prepares to send him to hell. Hai Wan Mak turns to Gang Rim for help. As it happens, he is with Su Hong at his tomb and orders the Guardian to request a combined trial. The two brothers see each other again. This time, if the defendant is found guilty, he will receive double punishment, and the defenders will lose their privileges in the afterlife. Paragon and his Guardians enter the Eternal Desert. In its territory begins the Hell of Filial Impity. It is there that Zhahong must go through the combined trial of the King of the Afterlife. Gang Rim, meanwhile, accompanies Su Hong on the road to the afterlife. He must recover his body and visit the places where he lived 3 times. Su Hong tells the guard about the night his brother beat him. It was because he woke up and saw Kim hovering with a pillow over his mother's head. He wanted to strangle her. Hai Wan Mak and Doc Chun discuss the same thing with Kim himself. Paragon tells him that he wanted to kill not only his mother, but his brother and himself as well. His mother was sick and they were very poor. There was no hope for anything good in life. But instead of accomplishing what he had planned, Zhahong ran away, started working and sending home the money he earned. And when he was bored, he wrote letters. Zhahong's and Su Hong's mother drives to the gates of the military unit every day. She is wearing a placard, asking for help to find her son. The soldiers usually chase her away, but this time, the inconsolable mother manages to enter the base. She is met by the lieutenant. He treats the woman rudely and ruthlessly, and after she shows the lieutenant the marked map, he pushes her so hard that she faints. Su Hong sees this from a distance. He cannot contain his anger, and the vengeful spirit takes over again. With the power of infinite fury, he raises a hurricane in the military unit that whirls both the afterlife and the world of the living into one. Hai Wan Mak falls to the ground, and Kim is left alone with Doc Chun, who is unable to pull him out of the sand trap. Her cry of despair ripples through the worlds and reaches Su Hong. This stops him. The storm calms and the trial begins in the Hell of Filial Impity. The judge is the king of the afterlife, Yomra, and he intends to pass a guilty verdict at once, giving no right to defense. Doc Chun argues with the judge in tears, interrupting him. The judge raises the karma mirror. It reveals the terrible truth that his mother was awake when Kim was about to kill her. The Paragon is ready to accept the punishment and asks only for one thing, to see his mother again and apologize. The king of the afterlife doesn't grant him this opportunity, as Zhahong had plenty of time during his lifetime, a full 15 years. The verdict is read out to the defendant, while Gang Rim sends the younger brother to his mother in a dream. Su Hong appears before her in uniform and tells her that he has been hired by the Celestial Court, so he can't come home anymore. Then he reminds her of the day Kim tried to kill her, but couldn't, ran away, worked like a madman, and sent her money. The mother responds by saying what she has kept to herself for years. She doesn't blame her sons, but she admits to being a bad mother and asks for forgiveness. This changes the course of the trial. The king of the afterlife, Yomra, declares,
이승의 인간이 이미 진심으로 용서받은 죄를 저승은 더 이상 심판하지 않는다.
The court finds Jahong innocent on all counts and orders him to be reborn immediately. The rebirth of the Guardians themselves is near as well, for the 49th soul, the paragon, Su Hong, with whom Gang Rim is about to appear at once at the court of the Filial Impity, is on the threshold of hell. Jahong's last letter, along with an electric rice cooker, is given to his mother. He tells the truth in it, and it brings comfort to the elderly woman for the rest of her days. As always, you'll find the movie title in the video description. But in the meantime, let us know in the comments, do you think the King of the Afterlife's decision was fair? And don't forget to subscribe so that more awesome retellings come out as often as possible.